And from the Bloc Québécois, a predictable angle, skepticism. They warned that Quebec's aluminum industry could be next in the crosshairs, and they accused Carney of playing politics with industries that are the lifeblood of Quebec's economy. So the pattern is clear: support for cheaper consumer goods, but deep divisions about whether Carney gave away too much, too soon. But beyond the politicians, who really matters? The workers. The businesses. The everyday Canadians who feel these policies firsthand. Union leaders are cautious. Many quietly admit that lowering tariffs helps families stretch their paychecks further. But they fear it sets a dangerous precedent. One union president put it bluntly: if Trump pushes again, what else will Canada give up? On the other side, retailers and importers are practically cheering. For them, tariffs meant higher costs, supply chain headaches, and frustrated customers. One grocery chain executive told us, "This is the first good news we've had on pricing in years. Here's the tug-of-war: workers want protection, businesses want cheaper trade." Carney is trying to straddle both worlds. But in politics, straddling rarely keeps you balanced. And what about Canadians themselves? On the streets of Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, the reactions tell a story of a country divided. For some, it's simple math. If orange juice, peanut butter, and clothing drop in price, that's a win. Families struggling with inflation are desperate for relief. But others see it differently. They're not convinced Trump can be trusted. One shopper told us, "Sure, my groceries might get cheaper, but at what cost? We're putting faith in a man who changes his mind every 24 hours." Polling backs this up. Early surveys suggest Canadians are split almost evenly. Half support the tariff rollback, half think Carney caved too quickly. And remember, this isn't just about economics. It's about emotion. Canadians have been burned before in cross-border trade wars. That scar tissue hasn't healed. And even if tariffs disappear overnight, distrust lingers much longer. So where does that leave us? A prime minister promising relief, an opposition sharpening their knives, businesses applauding, unions warning, and Canadians torn down the middle. The question now isn't just what Carney did, it's what it means. And how could one phone call between Carney and Trump shape the next Canadian election? Let's zoom out. Because this story isn't just about tariffs or the price of peanut butter. This is about Canada's place in the world. And about whether Prime Minister Mark Carney just reset, or risked our nation's long-term strategy with the United States. Here's the truth: every Canadian Prime Minister faces the same dilemma. Do you stand tall against Washington, or do you bend just enough to keep the peace? History reminds us, each leader's choice echoes for decades. When Mulroney signed NAFTA, critics said he was giving Canada away. Yet decades later, NAFTA became the backbone of North American trade. When Crétin refused to join the Iraq War, critics said he damaged US-Canada relations. But many Canadians still see that moment as one of principle. So now, Carney's move, dropping tariffs, will be judged not just in today's headlines, but in tomorrow's history books. Did he make the smart play, or will it be remembered as the moment Canada blinked? Every political move creates winners and losers. So who comes out ahead here? Winners. Canadian consumers. Prices on US goods are set to drop. For families squeezed by inflation, this feels like oxygen. Retailers and importers. Their supply chains just got easier, and margins just got healthier. Trump himself. Let's not ignore this: Carney's move hands Trump a victory he can brag about, proof, in his words, that America is winning again. Losers. Auto, steel, and aluminum sectors. By keeping tariffs there, Carney admitted these industries are vulnerable. Workers fear they've been left on an island. Unions. Their bargaining chip, tariffs as leverage, just shrank. Carney's political capital. If this move backfires, his opponents will paint him as the PM who surrendered to Trump at the first handshake. But there's a twist. What if this isn't about economics at all? What if it's about something much bigger: politics, elections, and power? Donald Trump thrives on deal-making. Or at least, on the appearance of deal-making. To him, Carney's tariff rollback is a trophy. He'll hold it up at rallies and say, "See? Even Canada admits America wins with Trump." But here's the risk. Trump is unpredictable. Today, he welcomes tariff relief. Tomorrow, he could slap new penalties on Canadian goods. And Canadians know this. We lived through Trump's first term. The whiplash. The unpredictability. The midnight tweets that sent markets crashing. So Carney's gamble isn't just about today's relief, it's about betting on Trump's stability. And history tells us, that's a dangerous bet. Here's the heart of it: this tariff decision isn't just about economics, it's about politics. Pollsters know it. Party strategists know it. And most importantly, Mark Carney knows it. If grocery bills fall in the next 6 months, Carney gets to campaign as the prime minister who fought inflation. But if factories close or if Trump reverses course, Carney could enter the next election as the PM who sold out Canadian workers. And in a tight election, where swing ridings often flip by just hundreds of votes, this single issue could decide who sits in the prime minister's chair. So now, Canadians face a question: is this a masterstroke of diplomacy, or a dangerous surrender? Because when Mark Carney picked up the phone to Donald Trump, he wasn't just negotiating tariffs. He was negotiating Canada's future. And the final verdict won't come from Washington, it will come from you, the Canadian voter. When this story began, it looked like just another headline. Canada drops tariffs, Carney talks to Trump. But as we've seen tonight, it's so much more than that. It's about Canadian families hoping their grocery bills finally shrink. It's about factory workers in Hamilton wondering if their jobs are safe. It's about a prime minister balancing principle with pragmatism. And it's about a neighbor, the United States, whose every move ripples across our border. Mark Carney's phone call with Donald Trump wasn't just a polite diplomatic exchange. It was the first chess move in a game that could reshape Canada's politics, its economy, and its very identity in the world. History tells us something important: Canada has always lived in the shadow of the American giant. But every generation, one prime minister has to step up and redefine that relationship. Is Carney doing that now? Or is he letting Trump dictate the terms? The lesson is simple: trade deals may shift overnight, but trust, between nations, between workers and their government, between voters and their leaders, takes years to build, and seconds to break. So here's the question Canada must ask. Was this the day our Prime Minister secured a stronger future for Canadian families? Or was it the day he gambled Canada's sovereignty on a phone call with Donald Trump? The answer isn't written yet. The answer will be written by you, the people of Canada. In the choices you make, the questions you demand, and the vote you cast when the time comes. This is Canada Nowline News. Stay informed. Stay curious. And remember, in politics, the story is never just about today. It's about the next chapter we all write together.